Hello, everyone. This is Emily, and this is your recap video from the very first session in the Pilates by Redhead beginner class that we did on Saturday, April 4th at 10 a.m. Since I didn't get the Zoom session recorded, I thought I would just go back through everything and at a quicker pace, so it might actually be a better, nicer video to have now that you've gone through the initial introduction. So what we're going to do is start in standing. And I will try to speak very loudly since I don't have a microphone, so hopefully you can hear me clearly no matter where I'm facing. But you're going to stand just however you normally stand, and you're going to take stock of what's so without changing anything. So just stand like you normally do, and then start taking a look. Where are your feet? Are they narrow? Are they wide? Are they right under your hip sockets? Is either foot turned in? Is either foot turned in? Is either or both feet turned out? That's a really common one. Where is your weight distribution from left to right? Do you bear more weight on one foot than the other? And remember, don't change anything, don't judge anything. Nothing's right, wrong, good or bad, nothing to be fixed. Just looking at what's naturally so when you're not thinking about it, okay? Then we start going up the body. Think about the bottoms of your feet. Is there any noticeable sensations in your feet, your toes? Are they gripping? Any soreness in the bottom of your feet? Any tightness? How about your ankles? Do you notice any sensation in your ankles? Through your lower legs, any sensations in your shins or in your calves? Then go to your knee joints. Any sensation there? Do you feel like your knees are bent, maybe more than you realized when you weren't paying attention? Do you feel like your knees are locked or kind of held back? Do you feel any discomfort or tension or any kind of sensations throughout your knee joints? Those are another place where a lot of sensations can show up for people. Now go up through your thighs. Any sensation through your thigh muscles in front? Any sensations through your hip creases in front? How about the back side of your legs? Any sensations? Maybe they feel really tight. Maybe they feel like they don't even exist. Maybe they're so absent, it kind of feels like there's nothing back there at all. Same thing with the inside back of your legs. Is there any energy there? Do you feel like it's even participating in the act of standing? Or are they completely non-existent, right? In your brain's thoughts of them there. Is there any sensation at all? Let's come through your pelvis. Any sensation in your hip joints, deep inside there? How do you feel with the angle of your pelvis? Is there anything noticeable? Do you feel like it swings out? Do you feel like it tucks under? And then let's take it up to your, let's go to your low back first. This is highly connected to however you might feel like your pelvis is. Any tightness, any aches, any pains, any sensation at all in your low back. Whether there's sensation or not, do you have a sense of its shape? Does it feel arched, like extra arched? Does it feel extra flattened? How about your deep belly in front? Is there any sensation at all there? Or does it feel like a black hole in your brain's body map? Like there's nothing. I'm so disconnected from that deep, deep belly. I don't feel anything there. How about your ribs? Do you feel like your ribs are stacked directly over the bowl of your pelvis? Right? Is the dome of your rib and the bowl of your pelvis, do they align? Or do you feel like your ribs are slightly in front of the bowl of your pelvis? Maybe you feel like your ribs are kind of behind the bowl of your pelvis. Do you feel like your ribs are popping, flaring, opening in front? Or maybe do they just feel lifted, and when you notice it, it's like, oh, they could settle down if I had realized that they were being held up. How about your upper back, your shoulder blade area? Do you feel, this is the most common one, do you feel like your shoulders are rolled forward and your upper back is rounded? Do you feel like you have tension there? Are you holding your shoulder blades back? Are you holding your shoulder blades down with excess tension that you're not even aware of? How does that play out up through your neck? Any tightness, strains, aches through your neck? And then finally, where do you feel like your head is? Over your rib cage and over your pelvic bowl or over your feet. The most common one, again, is your head being forward of everything. Do you have any sensation that your head gets carried in front of your body? Do you have any sensation that maybe your head is back a little bit? I'm doing an extreme thing here, but right, if you think about where it is relative to the other parts of your body stacked up, is it behind? Do you have any little sensation that you're maybe slightly shortened on one side, or do you notice that your head kind of turns to one side sometimes? Those might be things to look at in the mirror. But anyway, so you're looking for all these sensations that may or may not be there, and you're looking for where body parts are relative to other body parts, okay? So now that you've done that body scan, you can kind of shake it out if you need to, and then come to standing again. Now we're going to go to neutral stance. You're going to stand with your feet parallel, perfectly straight ahead. And you want to have the width of your fist in between your feet, at the widest part of your foot there. Okay? And then you're going to look for your weight distribution over the tripods of each foot. If you're not even from left to right, you're going to shift your body around until you feel even from left to right. And then you're going to shift a little bit more, if needed, to get even through the tripod of each foot. You've got a point in the center of your heel, big toe ball of the foot, little toe ball of the foot. So now you're going to distribute your weight evenly across all 3 points of your tripod. Once you feel like you've evened out your tripods, you're going to do that body scan again, and you're just going to look for what, if anything, has changed. Some things might feel better, feel like relief. Other things might feel like, oh, that turned on. It wasn't uncomfortable before. It's not uncomfortable now, but I feel like suddenly there's energy, there's activity going through there. Other things might feel really foreign, and maybe you're questioning, I don't know if that's a good feeling or that might be a bad feeling. That's okay. Just look for differences, okay? Overall, the biggest thing that we're really trying to accomplish with making the shift is looking for sensations of relaxing down. Can your outer shell, your most superficial, most surface level muscles and tissues, can you get to a weight distribution that gives you a sense that those things are unloading, they're relaxing. There's a sense of settling down, a sense of grounding. And if you can identify some sense of relaxing and grounding, what that does then is enables your natural, spontaneous, involuntary uplift to come alive, okay? So if you can get relaxing down, a lot of time I call it down the back, that will create access to up the front, even though it's not all front of the body. That's a whole nother conversation, but we can call it down the back, up the front. If you relax down, you get this sense of kind of like waterfall down, can internal uplift start to reveal itself. That is your partnership with gravity. When you have too much tension or you're you're bearing your weight in these funky places, it shuts off your deep internal body's access to gravity, and gravity is the force that turns these structures on when we're standing, when we're perpendicular. It can change when we start lying down on the ground, but right? So this is your partnership with gravity. This is a daily, multiple times a day awareness practice. Do it whenever you hear my voice coming into your head and interrupting your thoughts, like, oh wait, let me check, am I partnering with gravity? Where's my weight distribution? Can I sense relaxing down, grounding? Can I start to notice sensations of natural uplift? Do I feel like my body starts to lengthen upward without me muscularly creating being upright and being perfectly aligned? Okay? So over time, we're going to look for, is it easier to find your partnership with gravity? Are you more naturally in a better weight distribution? And is it much easier and much quicker to identify feelings of down the back, up the front, partnering with gravity in your body? Okay, so that'll be an assessment over time. Now that we've established the standing, we're going to do a roll down. This is our pre-session assessment. We'll start doing it at the end of our sessions as well to see how much change occurs within a single session. So what you're going to do next is let yourself have a normal inhale. And then as you exhale, your eyeballs are going to look down in their sockets, and then your chin is going to drop, and then you're going to let the weight of your head roll you over as far as you're comfortable going. And if you want to soften your knees, it's fine, because this isn't supposed to be a back of the leg stretch. It's just a roll down. You're noticing, again, where are you today at the beginning of your session? How did it feel to roll down? How far do you go, and how do you feel at your end range? And as I talk to you, my body's letting go and I'm sinking deeper. Breathe in and out a couple of times and notice, think about the three-dimensionality of your breath. How does your three-dimensional breath feel? Does your body really move and expand three-dimensionally and really let a lot of breath move in your body? Or do you feel restrictions? Do you not feel very expansive with your breath? Are there certain specific places that you can tell are restricted, whereas other places really move well? And then whenever you're ready to come back up, start exhaling. And really, really exhale. Like when you think you're out of air, you're not. I promise you there's more in there. But exhale to the point. See if you can exhale to the point where you start to feel your belly lifting. And I don't know how well you'll be able to see it. I'll wear a tight shirt next time. It might make it easier. I'll put my hand there. Okay, so I'm going to inhale, then I exhale. And at a certain point, I feel my belly lifting. And for me, I can also feel when my belly lifts, I feel my tail start to drop. And that's the sensation I want to feel before I start rolling back up. Let your shoulder blades go over the waterfall and down your back. That's going to give lift and placement to your head. Eyes looking straight ahead. Check in one more time with your partnership with gravity. Do you need to redistribute your weight to find that sense of relaxing down, internal uplift being allowed to show itself? Okay? I'm going to move on, but if you want to do another one, you just hit pause on your video and do it again. Okay? And now, we're going to move the camera, and we're going to come to the floor. Going to lie down on your backs with your knees bent, feet on the floor. That same fist width apart, ideally. If you forgot to check that before you got down on the ground, you can pick your head up, take a look at your legs. Your knees, see if I can see myself upside down here. That mirror's a little distracting. But your knees should be inside your hip distance, right? Knees shouldn't be as wide as your hips. Knees will be inside the width of your hips. They'll be more aligned with that kind of the center of your, or just slightly inside of the center of your hip crease here, if that makes sense. If you pick up your head, your thighs will completely hide your lower legs, okay? And then you kind of know that you should be pretty set. If you can kind of see the outside of your shins, your feet are too far apart. If you can kind of see the inside of your lower legs through your thighs, either your knees are too wide or your feet are too narrow, okay? And that hip distance, I won't go into it because I know I give a lot of detail, but it's important. I wouldn't waste your time on something that didn't make a difference, okay? So it's important to get that width. It'll make a difference in your upline being able to be stimulated, okay? So now we're going to go through your lumbar pelvic warm-up. Lumbar being your low back, pelvic, of course, being your pelvis, okay? If you want to put the base of your hands on your hip bones and put your fingertips on your pubic bone if that helps you sense the angle of your pelvis. You go ahead and do that. You're going to exhale, pelvic tuck. That means you're pouring your bowl of water onto your belly, and it's going to flatten your lumbar spine into the floor underneath of you. So exhale, tuck. When your exhale is over, begin the inhale and rock your pelvis the other way, anterior tilt. Tilt your pelvis. It's like you're pouring your bowl of water through your legs onto the floor. It's going to draw your back up into an arch. And you only go as far in that direction as you feel comfortable going. No forcing, no clenching, no gripping, no over tensing, no holding your breath, right? We're really trying to be as relaxed as possible to create as much freedom around the pelvis as possible. So I'm going to keep my arm up to help you see my pelvis and my torso better. Exhale. No butt squeezing. If there's any muscles tightening, it's your breathing muscles. Inhale. Exhale. And if your movement is not as big as mine, no worries. This is not about, there's no right range of motion. This is about discovering the range of motion that's most beneficial for your body in this moment right now. Next time you do the workout, it might feel different. So what we're going to be doing is really honoring your own body and what's there for it right now in this moment. Typically, I like to do this 5 times. I tell people if it feels really good or if they feel like they're really working something out, continue to do it. There's no magic number. Do it until you feel like it stops nourishing you, right? Or until you're just like sick of it mentally. Exhale, tuck. This will be my last one. I'm going to inhale, tilt. And then I'm just going to exhale, relax. Next, you're going to take your arms straight out to the sides. Make sure your hands are not higher than your shoulders. Shoulder height or maybe just slightly below. Now we're going to take your bowl of water and we're going to pour it out to the side. But don't think about twisting your body, okay? Think about picking your left hip up, pouring your bowl of water out to the right. Turn your head the opposite direction. Now your pelvis will carry your legs over as far as you want to go. Nobody cares if your legs get all the way to the ground or not. Go to the place that feels safe for you, but also feels like you're getting a bit of a stretch, okay? And then you're going to bring that left hip, you're going to pull that hip back down to the floor. You're going to inhale, pick your hip up, pour your water out to the side. Let your pelvis bring your legs. Let your pelvis bring as much of your torso as it wants to bring. Your head rotates the opposite direction. Now start exhaling. Can you exhale to the point where you actually feel it starting to pull your pelvis back to center? That would be ideal. Inhale, pick your hip up. And I want you to really work the inhale on this one. If you run out of room to inhale before your pelvis finishes its movement, then stay for another breath cycle. Let yourself exhale, get to your end range, and take another really big inhale. And let that inhale stretch the tissues that the rotation itself doesn't get to. You'll know what I mean once you do it. Big inhale. And then exhale. Can you exhale to the point where you feel it starting to pull your lower body back to your upper body? Inhale. Exhale. I like to do at least 3 rounds, and again, do more if it's feeding you. If you feel stuff unraveling, stretching, if it feels awesome, keep going. Inhale. If you need another inhale, stay there. Exhale. This is going to be my last side. Inhale. If you need another inhale, take it. Exhale. Good. Reset if you need to. How are your feet? They might have come together on that last one. That's perfectly fine. Arms are going to go wherever it's comfortable to you. They can come back to the bones of your pelvis if you'd like. We're going to go around the clock now. These are pelvic circles or a pelvic clock. Imagine that there's a clock on the mat and you're just laying your pelvis down on top of it, okay? So we're going to exhale. Again, I'm just going to put my arm up so you can see my body better. We're going to exhale, tuck. You just took your pelvis to 12 o'clock. Now we're going to start pouring water over to the left. You're circling around to touch 1 o'clock, then 2 o'clock. And then 3 o'clock is the move we just did, right? Your pelvis is just tipped straight over to the side. And then we're going to go down to 4 o'clock. We're moving towards an anterior tilt. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. On over to 7 o'clock. We start moving away from tilt towards tuck as we go through 9, 10, 11, boom. We're back to 12 o'clock. So let's go 2 more times in that direction. The best breathing advice is just to breathe in and out continuously and comfortably. The most important thing is that you never hold your breath. I find it most natural for my body's rhythm to exhale around the top of the clock and inhale around the bottom of the clock. I'm going to do one extra one. This will be a 4th one. Exhale from 9 to 12 to 3. Inhale from 3 to 6 to 9. Exhale back up. Now go a minimum of 3 times in the opposite direction. You're going counterclockwise now. And remember, don't compare how much your body is or isn't moving to mine or to anybody else's. We're each going to have our own places where we move a lot and other places where we move a little. So this is just it's a warm-up. It's a tension reliever. It's a pelvic awareness exercise. And it's a status check. Again, where are you starting out today? Are there any hours of your clock that feel sticky, that feel hard to reach into, that make your clock feel flat instead of round? And just see what's there, and to notice with consistency over time how that starts to change. Okay? Good. So 3 times around the other direction. More if it's feeding you and nourishing you and giving you release. Okay? So next we're going to turn your attention a little bit more to your spine and what we call spinal articulation. And articulation just means that we're trying to move one individual vertebra at a time. Okay, now I want your upper body to be involved. I don't want it to be dead. And I want to establish a neutral. If we consider you'd have an upper core, a middle core, and a lower core, that could be one way to think about it. So we've kind of talked about your middle core here, and actually I left something out in class today. Pelvic tuck, pouring water on your belly, flattening your back. Pelvic tilt, pouring water through your legs, low back is in an arch. Neutral pelvis, those 3 bony landmarks, hip bone, pubic bone. Level. Your bowl of water is not spilling out around it's not spilling out anywhere over the sides. It's perfectly level. Your natural lumbar curve will be present, and that will be different from person to person as to how much space that is. I have 0 butt, no booty, so that and I have a little bit of a flat back, so that allows me to have very little space under there, although I have some. For some people, they're going to be neutral, but they're going to have a lot more space than I do, okay? So it's more about those bony landmarks being level, okay? So your pubic bone is not higher than your hip bones, nor is your pubic bone lower than your hip bones. Level, flat like a tabletop, spilling no water. That should put you in neutral pelvis. So much like we have neutral pelvis, I want you to have neutral shoulder blades while having energy flowing through it. So you decide if you want narrow or wide. Energize, reach out through your fingertips, but at the same time, reach the back of your arms into the floor. Can you find the right angle of your arms and the right amount, right minimal amount of energy that disappears your shoulder blades underneath of you? They're not squeezed together. They're not pulling apart. They're not being pulled up. And your bones, if you're bony and chicken wing like I am, your bones aren't sticking into the mat underneath of you. Okay, that's the ideal. And again, you're just energizing your upper core so it's not dead. We want it to participate at a minimal level. Okay, now that you've got that established, you might also, it should feel like it kind of opens up your chest, especially if you're somebody you know you're kind of closed down. You'll feel it kind of opening your chest without squeezing your shoulder blades together. That's going to be the people who notice this the most. Okay, now we're taking your attention back to your pelvis and your spine. Let yourself have a normal inhale. Use your exhale to pelvic tuck and then peel your tail off the floor and then work your spine off the floor. Again, I'm going to move my arms. Work your spine off the floor, trying to feel like you're picking up one vertebra at a time. Okay? For a lot of us, chunks are going to come up, but we're going to try to do it one at a time. You're going to come up as high as you feel comfortable going. Ideally, I really want you to try and get up to the point where you feel the back of your legs tightening, where you feel your butt muscles getting involved. Not because you squeezed your butt, but because you lifted high to the point where it turned themselves on. Something that'll help, your bowl of water. Keep pouring water onto your belly. That'll really tighten your backside. Watch out for, let me see if I can show it. Watch out for rib flares. Sometimes when the hips won't get up, your body starts pushing your ribs up. Keep your ribs relaxed. Keep them flush with your belly wall. Don't let them pop out. And again, try to pour water onto your belly and then get up as high as you can. Try to feel those hamstrings and glutes come on. Okay. Inhale at the top of your bridge. Use your exhale. I'm going to not look at the camera. Use your exhale to relax. Soften your torso, soften your spine. Try to roll down one vertebra at a time. Inhale, release your pelvis to neutral. Exhale, tuck. Articulate your spine off the floor one vertebra at a time. Check in with your feet. Are they clenching? Are they grabbing? Can you relax them? Come up as high as you can. Can you get your hamstrings, the back of your legs, and your butt to kick on? Are you pouring water into your belly? Are your ribs flush? Do you have energy through your fingertips, back of your arms into the floor? If you re-energize that, do you notice that your hips just floated up a touch higher? Inhale if you haven't, and exhale down. Okay, I promise I'm not going to talk on the next one. It's going to be more fluid. Exhale down. Inhale, release your pelvis neutral. Exhale, tuck and roll up. Pour water into your belly. Keep your ribs down. Get the glutes and the hamstrings active as you inhale. Exhale, roll down. Inhale, neutral. One thing I forgot to mention today, if you're somebody who's really, really tight through your quads or through your hip flexors, at the top of your bridge, hopefully you'll get your bridge up enough with your pelvic tuck, pouring the water onto your belly. With enough of that, you'll feel a real stretch through your quadricep muscles or maybe through the front of your hip creases there. So that might be there for some people if you're really tight. You know, you're tight through your hip flexors. You'll feel a nice stretch up there in addition to everything else. Neka also brought up a really good point. She really felt kind of the inside of her legs kicking on. Yes, you want that. So one last thing to look out for that is uber important if you actually want to experience results from this exercise. Your knees have to keep that distance. When you come up, it's not uncommon for people's knees to spread. Don't let that happen. We're already focusing on a ton of things, so if you need to, put a pillow or a blanket in between, so you don't have to think about it. You just have something to hold on to, and your
your body will take care of it. And if you drop it, you just pick it up, put it back in, and go again. But hold something between your knees or your thighs to help prevent that knee spread, okay? Awesome. So I think that's everything we did in class today. Let me double check my list. It is. So I'm going to end this video here. I'm going to go ahead and make another video to give you a preview of the core work we're going to do next week. So for some of you, if today wasn't, I know some of you may have already done this kind of work before. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a preview of where we're going to next. So anybody who wants to work ahead, work ahead. Everybody else, focus on this. I forgot something else we did. Do this at the beginning, because do your breath awareness before you do the exercises, because it'll set you up. It'll already start to release your tissues before you start moving. And it'll, again, from a brain neuron perspective, we want those neurons related to your breath to be activated before you start focusing on other things. So, sorry I forgot this at the beginning. Three-dimensional breath. Wrap something around your rib cage. Try and get up around the bra strap area, and then in front, just bring it wherever is comfortable for you. Cross it over. Just enough tension to give you sensation. Relax your shoulders. Think about your shoulders being in that waterfall down your back. And first, breathe normally and notice where your breath is going from a three-dimensional perspective. Do you have expansion side to side? And I don't know if you can see it on me. Do you have expansion? Do you feel like you breathe and move into the back of your ribs? Do you have some movement in front? We should have movement in front, but we don't want it all to be in front. It needs to be balanced with the other dimensions. But do you feel some expansion in front? Can you stay relaxed and calm through your shoulders, neck, and collarbones while you do that three-dimensional breath, right? Can your breath all be down here and not have to go up here? I'm going to try and keep my arms out of the way. Last one. With my elbows down so you can get. When you're doing your 3D breath practice, do the first so many breaths where you're focusing on the inhale and the sensation of your three-dimensional expansion. And then the last few breath cycles you do, focus your attention on the rebound or the relaxing back down of your rib cage. So it expands. You want to feel like you expand in all directions, but then also notice how it relaxes and settles back in, and how that's somewhat passive. Okay, well, we might use that if you get stuck down the road. We'll come back to that sensation to help unstick you. So that's your breathing. So you could stand up and do a roll down just from doing our pelvic lumbar warm up and our breath and our articulating bridge. It might be interesting just with that little bit, right? We didn't stretch, we didn't do any ab work. Stand up, notice where you're naturally standing. Did your body come closer to neutral, or did it go back to wherever it was, before we fixed things or changed things? If it did, it's fine. Go ahead and put yourself in neutral, get your fist width, look straight ahead, notice your weight distribution. Again, are you any closer to what we're calling neutral? If you're not all the way there, even if you're closer, if you're not all the way there, do your weight shift. Is it any easier to start sensing down the back, up the front, partnership with gravity. Are those sensations getting stronger and more clear? And then exhale, roll down. Compare how the act of rolling down feels. Compare how far you go or how you feel at your end range. Compare how your three-dimensional breath feels in your body. That might be the biggest difference, since most of what we did was breath work and kind of freeing up your torso and your pelvis. Do you feel like your breath is a bit more expansive, less restricted? When you're ready to come up, exhale. Can you exhale to the point where your belly lifts? If you feel your belly lift, do you notice your tail start to pull down? Just look for it. If it's there, great. If it's not, go ahead and roll up, but just look for it every time. Let your shoulders go over the waterfall. Let your head rise as your shoulders waterfall down. Check in with your weight distribution. Do you need to shift? Check in with your sensations of down the back, up the front. Can you find your partnership with gravity that gives you that sense of grounding and simultaneous uplift without efforting? Okay, if you didn't feel any big changes, don't worry. That's not very much content. And it might be the next thing that makes the bigger difference for you personally. So, again, thanks for being with me today. Use this video to practice throughout the week. Next, what's coming is going to be a preview of the core work that we're going to go over together next week. Bye.